What's going on, everybody? Mr. Allen here, and it's time to dive into some parabolas, not pronounced parabolas, parabolas. You've seen parabolas before, but not necessarily in the form of our conic sections, okay? So the equation does look a little bit different, but there are some similarities. All right, so the one on the left here, it either opens up or down, and that is dictated by this plus or minus here. So it opens up or it opens down, and that's based off of it being positive or negative out front. So let's jot that down. Vertex, much like, the center for either an ellipse or a circle, it's that H comma K. So this is going to be H comma K. Now, my focus, this point right here, okay, we're going to have to get into that P value that you see right there. All right, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Now, that P value, that is my distance from my vertex to that focus, or from the vertex to that directrix. That is that P value. It is always positive, regardless of the plus or minus out in front. That P value is always positive. That's the distance away from the vertex to that focus or to that directrix. So let's think about how we can use that to generalize what the focus would be. It's honestly easier when you see numbers, but we'll do it with these variables as well. So the way I like to think about this is, well, what value is changing when I go from my vertex to that focus? I'm moving up and down, which means that my y value is changing. So the focus coordinate would still be h, but then it'd become a k, and it would either be plus or minus that p value. Depending on if it's opening up, it's going to be plus, right? Because we're moving upwards. And if we're opening down, it's flipped. You're moving downwards, so we're going to be subtracting p. Again, with numbers, it's going to be a little bit easier to see. So if you're like, bro, I'm not sure, wait until we get to some numbers here, okay? Now, my directrix is an equation of a line. And since that's a horizontal line, that dashed guy you got right down there, that's going to be a y equals equation. And since we're looking at our y value, it's going to be that k value, and then it's either going to be plus or minus that p value, again, depending on if it's opening up or down. Since this one's opening up, we have to go below it. We're actually subtracting that p, and then if it was opening the other way, we'd be adding that p value. Again, with numbers, I think it's going to make a lot more sense, but this would be our general whole equations and all wonderful things in variable form, very mathy math. So let's take a look over at the opening left and right version, okay? So here we're opening either left or right. I'll go right or left, actually. We'll go right or left, because that way I have my positive again associated with the right, negative associated with the left, just like we had over here. Okay, now my vertex, once again, is the same as just h comma k. How wonderful that we have that consistency, right? But now my focus, it's gonna be a little bit different here, okay? This time, what value is changing? Since I'm going from, here's my vertex to my focus right there, that's my p value this time, right? I'm changing the x value with the p value, so it's going to be h plus or minus that p value, comma k. My y value will stay the same. So if it's opening to the right, I'm going to add p to get that number. If it's opening to the left, I'll subtract p. Again, with numbers, I think it makes a little more sense. Now, my directrix, that's the equation of a vertical line, so it's going to be an x equals equation. All right, and I'm going to have to either subtract p or add p from that vertex, right, because that's going to be my p value right there. So it'll end up being h plus or minus p, whatever the numbers end up working out to be. Okay, so that's a very general sense there. Feel free to jot some of those things down. I think they're very, very helpful. The main thing we need to know here would be these two, and that p is my distance from the vertex to the focus, and my vertex to the directrix. P is always positive, positive p. I'm going to leave it on that.